Hello and welcome to a very sunny Silverstone, and here back with some lovely MG action. We're going to be here all weekend, don't worry. I'm not Ian, as you can probably tell. Ian will be joining us back tomorrow. I will be taking over today, and hopefully I might have somebody, a fellow driver, joining us today. If you don't know who I am, I'm a racing driver. My name is Charles Boniface. I also am an ARDS instructor. I've done some safety car work, so I'm well versed in different areas of motorsport to get you guys going. So we seem to be running a little bit ahead. I was hoping to grab some of the drivers of the MG Trophy Championship before they got running. They will be the first out on track. As you can see, it's a split qualifying. So I'll let the cars speak for themselves as they head on out. As I said, we are running a little bit ahead here, but it should still be good. Some cars to note would be Graham Ross in car number 92. He's taken a fair few poles already this season, and also car number 68, I believe, has also taken at least one pole already this season. It's a nice long circuit round here, so it's going to give us plenty of time to talk once they've all rattled their way out onto circuit, and should give us plenty of time. So you'll see the other cars joining them. They won't be on track at the same time, simply because of the speed differentials between the two championships. So these cars will filter into the pit lane, and then, as I said, the session will be split, and the MG Trophy will have their first 10 minutes first, and then they'll head back in and everything else. On this broadcast, we will be covering not just the MG Trophy qualifying, but also the BCV8. So make sure you stick around for that, and we'll also have the first race for the MG Trophy as well a little bit later on. Plenty of action, as I said, this weekend. We've also got action coming from the MG Cup as well. And as you can see, most of the cars have made their way out. There's still a few more to go. But it's a beautiful sight, and it's a beautiful day here at Silverstone. So, as you can tell, I am on my own. This is something new for me. So the biggest thing you guys can do is make sure you head on over to Live Sport Now's YouTube. I believe it's QR code will be up on the screen, so make sure you follow that, subscribe. Brilliant. So the QR code is now on the screen, I've been told, so you can scan that. Head over to all of our YouTube and everything else. Make sure you subscribe, and the reason it's important that you do that is the fact that I'm going to need your guys' help today. Sorry, I don't think any of us are going to hear anything at the moment. It's an absolutely lovely sounding car though, isn't it? So yeah, so make sure you scan that QR code, head on over to the YouTube channel, and once you're there, do drop us comments. I'm going to be reliant on you guys today to make sure that if there's anything that you've got any questions on, whether it's track related, how to get involved, anything else, make sure you drop a comment on the YouTube, and we will be able to see it, and we will be able to respond. So just follow the QR code on the top left hand of the screen, and that will take you to where you need to be. Right, traffic has been a nightmare for a few of us this morning, and if you want to spin round for us, Leon, we have been joined by a fellow driver, Mitch. Welcome.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I just ran all the way across the paddock. That was a mistake in this heat.
Yeah.
It's too warm to do that. I'm embarrassed. I will never do that again. Give me a minute, I'll talk in half an hour.
That's fine, I'll keep us going. So, something new for potentially for the broadcast, or for you guys at home. You may not have been around Silverstone, you may not know your way around Silverstone. So what I'll ask is if we can get an image of Silverstone overlaid onto the screen while we pan round and have a look at more of the cars. What I will do is I will talk you through a lap. So you should see that on screen for you now. So I believe the top of the screen, that will be where Woodcote and Copse is and everything else. So that's the start-finish line. That's where we're starting from today. Old pit lane, and that's what we're going for. So across the start-finish line, keeping her over to the left-hand side, down into Copse. Now Copse is a very fast right-hander. In some of these cars, they may not even need that much braking, sometimes potentially even a lift in the lower powered cars. Carry the speed through, make sure you use all the exit, over to the right hand side, make sure you're using all of the entry coming into the maggots. The first kink of maggots will probably be flat, second kink a lift or maybe a dab of brakes going in to the right hander, getting back across to the other side of the track now as you then head into Beckett's as you're following around the circuit, obviously nice and clockwise. As you come through Beckett's, a further slight little scrub of brakes, get a little bit of speed off, set yourself up for Chapel, and then ease that power on using all of the exit, heading on down Stowe, heading on down Hanger Straight towards Stowe. There's me thinking a little bit further ahead than I even need to be. So coming into Stowe, you'll be nicely over to the left-hand side by now. This is going to be the fastest and probably one of the most opportunist overtaking places on the circuit. It's nice and wide down there. Get the car in, obviously a heavy braking zone, get the car in using all of the track on the exit, back over to the right hand side, already spotting for where you want to start braking for Vale. Slightly over a crest, hitting the brakes into Vale, and you've got a sharp left, followed by basically a double apex sharp long right. Again, another great overtaking spot there into Vale, following her around to Club, down Hamilton Straight, which is where the wing and the new pit lane is, and that's where the Formula One guys run from. Then a very fast right-hander as you come through Abbey. Again, making sure you're using all of the track is the best place to be. Loads of speed can be carried through there. Again, even in these cars, potentially flat, maybe just a little lift, potentially a little scrub of brakes if they need to keep the car under control. Then back to the fast left of Farm, getting the car a little bit back over, and again using all the track that you need to, but not too much, so that you can then come back over to the left hand side, getting her ready for braking for Village. Again, another opportune overtaking place is down into Village, that tight squiggly section in the middle, getting her back across the track to then get a great run out of the loop, because getting a good run out of the loop is extremely important. Aintree will be flat, especially today with conditions like they are. Heading down Wellington Straight, and in case you didn't already know, it's not named after a type of boot. Wellington Straight is named after the Wellington bombers that flew out of here or trained out of here in the war, in the Second World War. So if you want to know more about that sort of stuff, make sure you come and visit the Silverstone Museum. I would highly recommend that. Anyway, as you come down to Wellington Straight, that's basically where we are positioned right now, right at the very end of it, using all of the track. It's a delayed turning into Brooklands. People often go in a little bit early. You can see there, using the right line, getting that nice late apex, getting the car back over to the right hand side, and then back across again a little bit left to really try and open up Luffield. Now Luffield is a very key corner, and it's one that drivers will take two different lines through. Some guys like to hug the inside all the way around, get a nice run out that way. Other guys like to V the corner off a little bit more so they can get on the power that little bit earlier and carry that little bit more speed down the straight. Woodcote will be flat today in these conditions, and then you'll be back across the start-finish line. So that will be an entire lap of Silverstone. It's a little bit of a brief lap, I must admit. I've not talked to you about gears or braking points or much other bits and pieces like that, but hopefully that should give you guys a bit of an insight into what these guys are trying to do out here right now. Obviously they're probably going on to lap 3 now, so the tyres will be nicely warmed up, especially in this sort of temperature, and they will then also be monitoring engine temperatures on hot days like today. It will be the same, and that'll be that. So if you could take that down for me, please, the map of Silverstone, and we will leave you to keep looking at the cars. Mitch, hopefully you've caught your breath. Do you want to let me catch mine and say something for a little minute?
Yeah, well, it's for a start, it's a very warm day here today, which is lovely weather to see these MGs in, but I don't think it's too bad for the track either. Notice though, the smell of rubber is lingering a lot in the hot weather. These tyres are getting extremely sticky and breaking up a little bit as they come into Brooklands here. You also notice with a lot of the cars today, 4 wheels is not always the option because a lot of them like to do three-wheeling all the way through Brooklands and Luffield, and certainly through Beckett's as well, particularly in the hatchbacks, the ZRs. I've noticed already a few here today just completely on 2 wheels and using every inch of the track. But it's a lovely day for racing, unless you're sat in the car for an hour and a half waiting for some sort of delay. I hope we don't have any today, but if you are, it is very warm. Yes, it is very warm. That's very well said. It's very rare you see me in shorts, so if that's an indicator, that'll soon tell you everything that you need to know about what the weather conditions are down here today at Silverstone. And as you said, Mitch, a lot of these cars three-wheeling their way in, pitching the car in, just shows that it's nice and balanced. The drivers are being nice and smooth. I believe that is the end of their session now. So like I said, it's only a short session for the qualifying for the MG Trophy because they've got a split session with another championship, and obviously they can't run together because of the differentiating speeds. It would just be a health and safety risk mid-corner and everywhere else, to be fair. So yeah, that's the end of their qualifying as they're all heading back into the pit lane now. And like I said though, we've got plenty more action for you today, so do not go anywhere as we will lead straight from this. It seems like everyone's had a good qualifying, there's been no flags. We will get you the results of qualifying ready for race 1, so we know what the grid order is, and that will be these guys all in. We'll wait for the last few cars to find their way around, and then what we will do is we will move to the BCV8 Championship, who are up next, and we will try and grab a couple of interviews with the guys in the car as well. Like I said, we were hoping to do that with the trophy, but they are running slightly ahead. So we've got these last few coming round for us. Make sure they get all the screen time that they want. It's always nice as a driver, isn't it, Mitch, to actually get some screen time? Yeah, I don't get that very often. Apparently, I think the quote was too slow and uninteresting for screen
okay.
time.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
it didn't really happen.
I'm sure you can work on that. Huh?
Yeah, eventually it'll be fine. I just need to spin out more or something, aren't I?
Okay. Well, yeah. So that was the qualifying for the MG Trophy. If we could play the. Yeah, in fact, we have got the results for you for qualifying. We will quickly flash that up on the screen, and then we will play into the BCV8 Championships intro video, and then we will go have a quick word with them. So you should be able to see the TSL results from qualifying on the screen right now. I'm sure you guys will be able to read quicker than I can read and recite it back to you. So yeah, if you guys just take a quick look at that for the time being. We'll leave it up there just a little bit longer so you guys know where everybody finished and how everybody got on. So if we could get TSL off that screen for me, thank you very much. So that has been the MG Trophy qualifying. Thank you very much for joining us, but do not go anywhere. Do not turn off your sets. We are heading straight into the BCV8 qualifying now. We will grab a word with some of the drivers. So if you can, please, Alan, roll VT. Well, I hope that's got your appetite nice and whetted, ready for the BCV8 Championship, at least for their qualifying, which is what we have now. In a moment, we will quickly grab a word with the drivers. I didn't get a proper chance to introduce this young man alongside me. As I said, he is a fellow driver. But Mitch, if you would like to take a couple of minutes and just quickly, it doesn't have to be minutes, but quickly introduce yourself to the guys and girls at home.
Yeah, I'm Mitch. I'm 18. I've been racing for 3 years now. I don't get out much, so this is a treat for me. I like the sound of my own voice, so apologies for that in advance. And I'm a massive fan of MGs. I have one myself. Well, technically my dad has one, but we don't count that. Lovely little ZS, but yeah, I'm looking forward to having a nice sunny day out with some fantastic cars and some good racing.
Brilliant. Shall we go see if we can grab some of these drivers?
Should we have a stroll?
Yeah. Now again, I'm sure we can put that QR code back up. If you have just joined us, because this is the championship that you're particularly looking at, make sure you follow that QR code. It will take you straight to our YouTube. Yeah, that'll be top left-hand corner, I believe. Make sure you follow. Yeah, make sure you follow that that link. Hit subscribe to our YouTube channel, and the live chat is open. So please do drop us a comment. We do want to hear from you guys, and we do want to give any shout-outs or anything else that you want us to talk about. So. Yeah, so just let us know anything that you want to know. You've got 2 racing drivers with you. So
no technical questions, because we won't know.
Well, we'll do our best.
Yeah,
we'll
guess.
Feel free to spark a debate with us.
Yeah.
Right, I believe... I'm looking for a car that I can't find. That's always useful. Right. So let's see if we can grab the driver of this 99 car. No, they don't seem to want to be around. Okay, that's always useful. I'm going to quickly see if we can...
Has everyone seen you coming, Charles, and run away?
I think that's probably been the case. Yeah, that happens quite a lot, so I'm used to it, so don't feel too bad for me. But while I'm looking for that, Mitch, looking around, if you could choose one of these cars to go out in, which one would you choose?
I mean, you can have any of them really and have a lot of fun. I mean, you look at them, they're all extremely well built, lovely looking cars. They're all extremely colourful as well if you look around. I don't think we're missing any of the colour grades off the rainbow here, which makes our job a bit easier if they're all a different colour. But I'd probably have the number 86, because that machine just looks so nice, and look at the shining it's got on it. It just looks brilliant.
Should we make our way up and see if we can grab a whole gaggle of drivers and see what they've got to say? Just randomly introduce ourselves. Show the microphone. Where should we go? I could grab. Hello, guys. We just thought we'd come in and see what you guys were talking about.
Tramp bars.
Tramp bars.
And shock absorbers.
Whether to run them or not on the back of these beasts.
Right, okay.
Because they've got an advantage off the start. They've got an advantage out of slow corners, but they've got a disadvantage because for a fast flowing something like cops, they can cause the car to bind up through the corner. So then suddenly it tries to chuck you off. So there's advantages to them, but there's also disadvantages to them. So
he's not running them. I am. So we'll see what happens.
we'll see which one. So if he's spinning round, you know it didn't work. If he's not fast enough, then it didn't work.
So keep an eye on car
72.
72 and car
611.
611, right. So we'll soon see if those trad bars want to work. The guys at home, they may not know what trad bars are. Someone want to quickly explain?
So literally all they do is hold the back axle. They stop it from tramping, meaning stopping it from twisting.
Right.
When you put the power on, the axle wants to rotate. So all they do is stop it rotating. That's
Wonderful.
it. Yeah.
We hope.
We hope.
So, your car is
99.
99,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Last time I think I spoke to you was at Brands, and you were running in the B class.
So I was running in the C class.
In the C
Now
class.
I'm in the D class.
Right.
But there's 3 of us out there, and all 3 of us should be reasonably competitive. So
Right.
yeah, it's going to be a bit different to Brands, where you had Neil coming from the back, kind of in his own race. It's a shame there's not a couple more out. There's going to be a few more, but there's still the three of us. It should be close. Should be close. So yeah, I'm going to have to get my foot down.
Feeling confident for pole, or
We'll have a go.
have a go?
We'll have a go.
See what happens. What about yourself, sir?
Well, I'm waiting. Not sure. I will see. I'm kind of set up to. I had an instructor yesterday to show me what I'm doing wrong, which is helpful, but obviously it's now kind of confusing. So she set the car up quickly, but she's used to racing modern day cars. So this obviously isn't a modern day car, and I'm not as young as she is. So anyway, we'll see. If she can do it, I should be able to do it.
Who was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Sarah Moore.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
Sarah's a pretty decent.
I know
driver,
she's
isn't
very
she?
good. Yeah, very, very good. So she set a time in this with two of us in it, faster than we could last year, the fastest lap. So that goes to show how good she is.
The car's good as well.
The car can do it, so it's just me that is, I'm the one that needs to brush up or lose some years. Not easy.
It's always the lump in the middle, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, we'll let you get
Lovely.
ready because
Okay,
everyone's
thanks.
getting into car. All the best of luck. Right, I'll hand that back to you, Mitch. There we go. So we can either try and grab an interview with one or two more drivers, or we
We've
can.
all been told to get ready.
Yeah. Helmets
Yeah.
are on now. So should we make our way over and see if we can get a little bit of a better vantage point for this one? Maybe head up towards the grandstand. And again, you guys watching at home, any questions? How would you want to be involved? Would you want to be driving one of these things today? Let us know. Is there anything that you guys might want to know, or anything that so make sure you do comment on the YouTube channel, because that's the main chat stream that we will be watching today, amongst the others. And if you've got a driver that's out there that you're supporting, let us know and we'll try and give them a shout out. So Live Sport Now on our YouTube channel, that's where you'll find us. So we're going to have to head back through the gate. So I think, so we will stay down here while they go out, actually. And that way you get the chance to see all of the cars in their glory up close and personal as they drive on past. Mitch, anything to jump in on?
I think it's just it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, qualifying, everyone tends to have in mind that it's a very boring, stale kind of event, but I think when you've got such little time around such a long circuit as Silverstone Grand Prix is, you can't have time to sit there and contemplate what went wrong or what went right. You just have to go and do your best, and you'll only get like 1-2 laps in, and that's all you get. So this will be a very intense session for all these drivers, rather than say somewhere like Brands where you get 1 minute laps. You can do as many as you like, you don't have to worry about it, whereas here you've got to be much more on it from the get-go. So it'll be a lot more about getting those tyres where you like them on that opening out lap, and then just after that there is no mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a long lap round here as well. Like you say, there's a lot of places where they can make mistakes, where they can go wide, where they can not quite use enough of the grip available to them as they're learning the circuit. And like you said, they've only got basically 2 or 3 laps to actually get the job done. So very high pressure for these drivers. Perhaps you'd like to walk us through what it's like to be sat in those seats,
well, on a
waiting
day like
to
this,
go out. I know what it's like.
Yeah.
I know you know what it's like. So
well, on a day like this was actually pretty much the conditions. At this very circuit, I did my first ever race, and I was sat in a qualifying session waiting to go. I'd had 1 practice session in the car, that was it. Never did in karts or anything. And the first thing, obviously, you notice is how warm it gets. That's why the drivers stay out of their cars to the very last second, where they're told they have to get in because they are cooking in there. Particularly as you see all the MGBs, they've got their roofs on. That is literally an oven at that point. There is no protection from heat whatsoever. But then you've got to try and get yourself settled, but not to the point you fall asleep, which I also have done. That's not advisable.
As of height,
Yeah. So you got to stay focused on the job to do, and also in this situation, I'm looking around. Who's next to me? If you race these people before, you know who you want to be with. So you're like, well, if I've lined up 2 cars, but that third car in front is the fastest, I know as soon as we come out here, I want to make my moves up to be on the back of that car so I can follow them, learn the circuit and get the best out of it. And I'm also looking to see who may possibly get in my way a bit. If they're in a slower car category or something, you want to be avoiding them and just making your space. The good thing here is there is a lot of time to make said space because the track's 6 cars wide and incredibly long. You could kind of do what you want with it, but you still want to get that sorted in your head as early as possible, so then you can focus on what your car's doing, making sure you're all set up for your opening lap.
Yeah, exactly, and you've sort of touched on it there as well, Mitch. We've not really spoken about it today, but the slipstreaming effect around here, if you can tag back onto the back of a quicker car, is absolutely massive. It can give you a massive advantage, give you loads of time. You've got at least 3 or 4 decently lengthy straights that will have that kick in. You've got Hanger, obviously the straight down to turn 1 where Copse is, Wellington straight and Hamilton straight as well, along where the wing is. So you've got 4 big long straights to make use of that, where obviously, like you said, tighter circuits like Brands, it wouldn't quite be as important. But yeah, and as you rightly touched on as well, it is like an oven in those cars, especially the tin top ones. And it's also worth noting that they're also in 3 to 4 layers of Nomex fireproofing overall. So it's like being in an oven, but in a sweatsuit at the same time.
Yeah, if you're ever going to the Arctic, go buy yourself a pair of fireproofs. You'll be absolutely fine because they are super hot. And even without the Nomex underneath, you got the suit itself it's warm. It's fairly heavy. Even the quote-unquote lightweight ones are not lightweight at all. So yeah, it gets incredibly warm. But that's just something you have to ignore. There's no option. And as soon as they get going, you can crack the window a tiny bit for the opening lap anyway. It won't hamper you too much and cool yourself down. And yeah, once you're moving, you tend to forget about all the problems you face. But right now, they will definitely be feeling it.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, there's nowhere for that heat to escape either. I mean, you've got gloves on, you've got boots on, as you said, you've got the fireproof socks and everything. You've got balaclava over your face. There's nowhere for that heat to go. You're basically just sat there cooking. But let's maybe move away from talking about how hot it is in a car. I know it's clearly something that's
it's all anyone can think about at the moment.
But yeah, tyres will be another big thing. As you heard them talk about there in that driver interview, they're worried or slightly concerned about the best way they're going to get traction out of those slower speed corners like Vale. Coming out of Luffield and corners like the Loop as well. It is important that when driving rear-wheel drive cars, you do try and get nice and decent traction. So you don't want too much slip, you don't want much oversteer or sideways movement in the car, because all it's going to do is put more heat into the surface of the tyre, and that basically cooks the tyre. It will then eventually give you less grip, and your next lap will be ruined, and so will that set of tyres pretty much. So it's important with temperatures like we have them to not only keep engines cool and manage those kinds of temperatures, but also to keep your tyres in the right optimal window for them to actually give you the most amount of grip.
Yeah, and it won't be so much a problem for these guys, but for say so like the ZRs, that front left gets a lot of work, and you have the normal problem is can't get the tyres up to temp, but you actually get a problem, particularly on a day like this, where the tyres start to overheat, and then you're in the same window of you've got no grip, it's not going to work, and you've got to try and find a way of cooling it down. Obviously, the straights are useful here, but on a day like this, the track's so hot, you're not going to be able to cool them down enough, and then it ruins the rest of your session. So it's all going to hinge on that opening out lap.
Yeah, exactly that. That out lap will be where you find your space, who you're going to be following, if you're following anyone at all. Some drivers like to just punch a hole in clean air, and other drivers like to follow someone and like I say, really use that slipstream effect around here, or drafting as it's known in NASCAR. If you're watching from abroad over on the States or somewhere like that, I know we do get viewers all over the world. Do comment as well. Let us know where you're watching from. Are you watching from the States? Are you watching from Australia? I know that we've had people watch as far as New Zealand, which is obviously the opposite end of the planet from where we are.
Or if you're here.
Yeah, or if you're here or just down the road. Do let us know. And if you are here today, do make sure you check out all of the stands as well. The MG Car Club have put on a whole good amount of stands for different products, and one of the series sponsors is on there as well. So yeah, do make sure you head over and have a look at that.
And there's cars. lots and lots of cars.
Yeah, there's a lot of classic MGs out today. It was quite nice actually driving in and just being surrounded by them all.
I was really disappointed I didn't have mine. I kind of felt a bit embarrassed driving in my Mazda. I thought, yeah, I feel out of place. But, you know, maybe next year. We'll see.
Yeah, like you say, there is always next year. So, yeah. And there's always next year for you guys as well. Yeah, so there's always next year for you guys as well. So if you're at home and you're watching this and you think, do you know what? I'd really quite like to be there. It looks lovely, beautiful cars, loads of great racing, and you're at the home of British motorsport, Silverstone. You know, you're at one of the most prestigious circuits on the planet. And you think, I actually would really like to be there. There is always next year. The MG Car Club always come to Silverstone at this sort of time of year, every year to do the GP layout, or at least I know they have done for the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah. So make sure you do come along. If it's something that's interesting, it's the best way to start to get involved is just come along as a spectator, or if you want to get involved and be a bit more hands-on, go and have a look at the MS UK website. Literally just type MS UK into Google and that will take you to any information about how to get involved in motorsport, whether you want to be a marshal, whether you want to, you know, maybe you've got a medical background and you want to work as a medical support team, or you know, become a mechanic or talk to a team. There's so many things that you can do with inside motorsport. I know that I listed off a few of things that I've done in motorsport, and I know, Mitch, obviously you don't just pedal, you also spanner.
Yes, poorly, but yes. Yeah, no, people keep asking me to help out, and I say yes, and then they regret it. But yeah, no, exactly. There are so many ways to get involved, and everyone is so great here. I mean, and all over the country, MS UK. They have a great team of marshals everywhere, and you know that's probably the best way to start to get into marshalling. And you know everyone's so friendly, and there'll be people there to help you. And if you're like, well, not sure I really know what I'm doing, that's what the training's for. That's what the people are here for. And at the end of the day, they're all so nice and friendly. And you know, I mean, they put up with us here, and you know,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I've been in several accidents, and never once has somebody come over and gone, "You shouldn't have done that, should you?" So you know, they're always the best teams. But yeah, the only thing we can't say is we can't promise the weather if you come here. But I have to say, every time I've been summer into MG Car Club here in the summer, it has been like this. So you might get lucky.
Yeah, it's been the same for me as well. In fact, let's take this opportunity to absolutely big up the Orange Army, as they're known. Massive thank you to all of the marshals and volunteers, obviously the guys that are running the club as well, to MG Car Club. And basically everyone that's been involved in putting this day together, because there is a lot that goes in behind the scenes, and there's a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice that goes into both driving a car as well as help setting up an event like this.
Yeah, so big thank you to them, and we're off and running.
So we'll just be a little bit quiet now and let you enjoy the noise of the cars as they rattle past, if they haven't stalled.
Yeah, some of the sprites there struggling to get themselves going.
Those of you, of course, born before 2000s will probably remember what it's like to have to bump start a car away. Don't they sound and look absolutely lovely?
It's amazing when they're in a big group as well.
Yeah. Something about a whole grid of cars just going off at the same time just sounds... When you're here in person, you know, certain cars, they do vibrate through you, don't they, Mitch? And it's just something that little bit special.
Yeah.
So as they're making their way round, as you might have heard from me, no more than probably 20 minutes ago, what they'll be doing on their way around, where they'll be going, how to drive around the circuit. Is there anything maybe you wanted to add, Mitch, that you heard that I didn't mention?
Well, there's a few things about Silverstone this year. They've done a couple of adjustments, not to the layout or anything, nothing major, but they have actually shaved down a few curbs. Because when I was here at the beginning of the year, I was told about it, which makes it slightly easier to run them. Which means you can make more use of, particularly the entry to Copse, which always used to be a really dodgy thing. If you want to maximise track, go all the way over that first curb. But if you do, it really kick the rear end out because that curb was so nasty. But they have shaved that down and made it a bit nicer. So that's probably less of an issue this year than in previous years. But the exit curb has been the most dangerous. When I was here for a few other events, there were many accidents actually on the exit of Copse. People just clip that curb and the car would rotate on them. And I think that's out of anywhere on the circuit, that is the biggest danger point. The exit of Copse, that curb is vicious.
It sure is. Depends on obviously what you're in. It can be a little bit less vicious if you're in something with a bit more suspension travel, but you are right, it's something to watch out for, and I'm sure something that the guys will know more than too well about where to watch that. As you said, some of the curves have been shaved down around here over the winter. The big sausage ones are always the big ones to look for myself. They're the ones that if you do hit them, you're not going off in an accident. It's probably going to rip off part of your car and then send you into the wall. The big sausage curves, I don't think we've got any in sight that we can focus on. They've removed them down here at Brooklands and Luffield, but I'm sure if you watch it on the Formula One, or if you're into motorsport and you've seen other racing around here, particularly into places like Vale, they've got a big one on the inside there, into that tight sort of chicane-ish kind of corner.
Yeah. There's a big one at the entry to Maggots as well, for no reason whatsoever. I'm like, I still don't know why they put it there, but it creates, when you're looking into that corner, as you're spotting your apex on the left, that first little kink, and then you just see this massive piece of red curb and you think, that's not good, and you're aiming for that as you go through and hoping to just miss it. Also, don't brake on that curb. I found out the hard way, it doesn't end well.
Yeah, definitely don't be braking on a curb like that. But I think that might be for the international circuit, Mitch, because obviously they've got 3 layouts here at Silverstone. We've got the
so
GT.
you've got the national, but either way, whatever layout you're using, that corner's just a kink. There's no, because it's the entry to the national circuit cutting back towards Wellington. It's not on the international, and on the Grand Prix you're straight into Maggots. So I don't know why it's there, but it is a scary thought as you turn in to think, what if I hit that? But it's just one of those little things that plays on your mind if you're not used to going around here, if you've not been around here before and you're looking out for it. It's not something you'd really notice on a sim, because curbs on sims tend to be more forgiving anyway, so you wouldn't really notice it. But then as soon as you get out here in real life, you realise how big these curbs are, and it can get a little intimidating.
Yeah, it sure can, and that's one of the other things as well about coming here, is the fact that you've got such a wide circuit compared to a lot of other places as well. It's another thing that catches a lot of drivers out. As I was talking about, as I was walking you guys around, making sure that you're using all of the track, because it is that much wider here. Your vision has to be looking that much further ahead, and it is important to really make sure you're nice and smooth with your inputs, because of how long and fast some of these corners are. Having a well set up car is very important.
I don't know if you noticed there how much the big, well, comparatively big MGBs, look how much they sit down on that rear right into Brooklands. That's brave. If you get the power down wrong like that, you are going straight round, but it's also the fastest way of getting around it. It shows how well they're set up as well, because they're not fully coming off the ground at the front, but they're lifting it up just enough to get that extra rotation. And also, you want to know, there are different lines you can take, and you will notice people taking different lines. Like that car that just went through there took a much tighter entry in and got right up to the apex quite early and ran it out wide. But you'll also notice people take a really late line in, like this, the 193's having to take there because it's got people on the inside. That's also a very common line, even if you aren't with a pack of cars. So Silverstone being so wide, you'll find a lot of places where you can actually take different lines that come out with the same lap time.
Yeah, you can. You know, it's a weird thing about being a driver is the fact that you can get 10 drivers in a room, they'll all drive a track completely differently and then all come away with a lap time all within half a tenth of each other.
And then you'll try and change onto one of the other lines and find that you can't do it and wonder why everyone's overtaking you. It's one of those situations, you'll never find a perfect line, it just doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly that. And Wheeler we spoke to before they all headed out, and I was asking him, you know, what do you think, confident for pole? At the moment, he's sat in second place, and there's only 3/10 in it, or less than 3/10 in it, so you know, that's only the first lap round, so I'm sure we'll see times tumble a little bit more from there. And Wells as well, who we spoke to in car number 72, the guy that I believe is not running the bar that they were talking about running. He's doing well, sat there in 13th, and I believe 4th in class as well. So yeah, good time from him so far. That seems to be a setup that seems to be working quite well, at least for now.
Yeah.
So, sorry to cut you off, Mitch. TSL is up on screen now, so you can also see that for yourselves, and you can see what, you know, whichever driver you happen to be following. Hopefully, you can see where they are and that they're getting on okay for where they need to be. I have just seen number 99 Wheeler going a little bit slowly there. I've got a feeling that that's probably more of a cool lap.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice anything wrong. He had a massive group of cars. And I think, you know, the best thing to do in that situation is trying to find yourself some space, and that's what he was doing there. He just went extremely wide through Brooklands, let everyone through on the inside so he can go again. But, you know, it's... If he'd had a problem, he probably would have pulled all the way off, and there's so much runoff here. And that's the 93 spinning into Brooklands and saving it.
That's not how you want to enter Brooklands, is
I was
it?
talking about different lines. That isn't one of them.
But that was a very nice save, and by how low the back of that car looks, I would assume that he'd had a problem.
I think something broke there, unless he's got a very interesting setup on that we don't know about. Something
must have broke, I believe, under braking there for it to send him off like that, but nicely held and nicely kept on the circuit. I'm not too sure. I'm hoping you guys would have seen that at home. I don't think TSL was up at the time. It might have been. Apologies if so. But yeah, a little bit of drama.
I think that was the man currently sitting in 4th place as well. So, you know, the interesting thing about that accident is, as usual, he managed to hit the indicator. I don't know why that always seems to happen. Whenever you have a spin or anything, the indicator just comes on. Nobody notices. It just happens.
Well, at least he gets extra points for style.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we should do that. Comment on the YouTube chat. Which driver are you looking at through our camera lens that you think's got the most amount of style and flair? You know, may not be going the quickest. Maybe he's drifting all the way around Brooklands. You know, getting a nice little transition ready for drifting all the way around Luffield as well. But if you're seeing something that we haven't spoken about, do feel free to talk about it in the chat. And like I said, we can see it, so if we can, we will mention it. So just to give you a little bit of a rundown of where we are right now, I don't have all of the numbers, I don't think, on the programme, but we will try. So the top few, it says unknown on TSL. The top few is 86 in unknown, is currently on pole. James Wheeler in car number 99, we obviously spoke to him earlier, he is currently still in 2nd place. Weston is in 3rd, McCarthy is in 4th, Young is in, oh no, things have literally just changed. McCarthy is still in 4th, Chalk is in 5th, Young is now down to 6th, Morris is just put in a time to bring him up to 7th, Cow is in 8th, Bridges in 9th, and Wardle is in 10th. That is your top 10 currently as it stands of the 42 runners that are out there today. We do have 2 in the pits. One of them is obviously 63, who we just saw back it into the corner. It's a little bit more of the extreme of back it in than what most people sort of normally talk about. and the other car is 42 Burnside. He's the other one that is currently in pit lane, so hopefully no issues for him. If of course he doesn't get his 3 laps in, then he will be able to do that under safety car at lunch, so that he meets the minimum requirements ready for race 1.
Yes.
Mitch?
There has been quite a lot of antics coming into Brooklands on that lap. Wheeler went faster again. However, he's definitely got more pace because he had a massive front left lock-up on the way in here and went incredibly wide on entry. So that's at least cost him, I reckon, a tenth of a second. So there's definitely more time in him. Also, I've noticed a lot more confidence showing as people are getting fully sideways at the apex and fully drifting it, which I did expect to see from these type of cars. It does seem to be a more approved line for lightweight rear-wheel drive sports cars, but even so, it's spectacular to watch. And then you've still got the odd that are taking the conventional lines in, but few people getting more adventurous as the session goes on.
Yeah, exactly, and a nice little drift halfway through the corner isn't a problem at all, is it really? I mean, it's fun for the driver. It doesn't do the tyres much good or your lap time, so it's a problem in that aspect. It's not, it's not doing what you want it to do on circuit, but as long as they make it out in one piece, they can always give it one more go. You may have noticed there is 2 different styles of cars out there today. I should have mentioned it earlier really, but alongside the BCV8 Championship you do have the Midget Sprite Challenge. So those cars out there that don't have roofs, essentially, that is what you're looking at. Lots of midgets and Healy Sprites and things like that in that championship, so all looks very interesting.
Yeah, and they are definitely time-wise getting involved with the BCV8s. At the moment you've got 2 Sprites at 3rd and 4th, and that's kind of reflective of their pace as well, but obviously that's going to add another element for the MGBs to try and get through, is the fact that you're not just racing your cars, you're not just racing your class of cars in your own championship, you've got a whole nother championship out there doing the exact same thing you are. And also, let's be honest, they're going to want to win the race overall as well, so it's not going to be you have your race, I'll have mine situation, and particularly not in qualifying, because you don't have time to do that, you just have to get on with the job at hand. So that's why you're seeing everyone get so close together in what looks visually very different cars, is because they're actually very similar pace.
Yeah, a little joke from the TSL guys. The guy who is first overall has now been updated from unknown to mystery driver. So that's something funny out there. So if you do know who that driver is, do let us know, because we don't even know which championship he is in at the moment. So yeah, if we could get that on screen, Alan, that'd be brilliant. You should be able to see mystery driver up there at the top. A little bit of a ghost driver going on maybe. But if that is the case, then and that mystery driver isn't in the BCV8, then that would mean that Wheeler is on pole, with McCarthy down in second, obviously with the classes and the BCV8s versus the Midget Spirits. And who would that put in 3rd place for the V8s? If I'm right, that would be Young.
Yeah.
Young. So yeah, there's your top 3 for the V8s. And then below that, it's actually all looking really rather quite close. So make sure you tune in for this race when it happens later on this afternoon, because I've got a feeling it's probably going to be quite an interesting one.
I would think so, yeah. I mean, the qualifying session's been more entertaining than most already, so that usually is a good omen for the race. Still trying to spot our ghost runner, see what car they're actually running, whether it's a Midget Sprite or MGB.
It will be, yeah, I think it will be an interesting qualifying. There is still just over 3.5 minutes to go, which will, depending on where they currently are on circuit, give them 1 or 2 more laps. So they've got at least one more shot at making some changes at the order as it currently stands. Mitch, how do you've been in this situation, you're getting towards the end of qualifying, getting a little bit tired. Tyres might be getting a little bit overheating with the track rubbering in and everything as well. So the car's not quite exactly the same it was when you first went out. You know, what would some of these drivers be thinking or having to put up with inside those cockpits?
Well, there's two different situations. The first one is where you've asked, or your team have told you they're not going to tell you how long's left, so you'll literally just go for the whole session. And at that point, you're just focusing next lap, next lap, next lap, just making sure you can get as much time out of it as possible. The other situation is obviously you know exactly how much time's left, you know exactly what lap times you're doing, and therefore you're trying to work out when your last lap's going to be and whether you're going to have enough space to push on it. So for that point of view, if I'm sat with 3 minutes to go, I'm looking at it and going, right, I need to get space for the next lap because this is last chance saloon, that is it. And I'm making sure that everything is perfect for that lap. And then sometimes if you put yourself in that situation, you can force yourself into overthinking things and making errors. So sometimes it is easier to be in that situation when you don't know what's coming, and you just focus corner by corner, lap by lap, because it might actually relax you into better times.
Yeah, that's very true. And the old adage, if in doubt, flat out. You know,
Yes.
most of these drivers, they won't have timers, they won't have necessarily people on the pit wall telling them what's going on. They're just going to be thinking, do you know what, I'm out here for 20 minutes, let's just go flat out for 20 minutes and see what I can do.
Absolutely. I think Wheeler will be starting his final qualifying lap now. He went round Luffield with under 2 minutes to go, so that will put him onto his final lap. So we'll see if it's a push one. I expect it to be. And so everyone now starting their final qualifying lap. This really is it.
Yeah, you do sort of have a little bit of an internal clock, don't you, as a driver?
Yeah, you start to feel that sense of, I really should have seen a checkered flag by now.
Yeah.
I have the other thing of, have I missed it? Particularly if I'm on my own on track, such a big track like this, you can find yourself in space, you can't see any other cars. You do start to panic a bit, have I missed something here?
Yeah, and as we alluded to earlier, the Silverstone track here is really, really wide. You say about missing flags and stuff, but I know that when we've ran out of the other pit lane, because of how close to the exit of club they wave the flag, you can miss it. You know, a lot of people miss the last lap board. I've seen people miss the checkered flag as well, so they always put one at the other end.
That is the thing. They do put one at the entry to turn one, which is right in the visual sight line, so you shouldn't miss that one. But if your internal clock is going off and you are getting that feeling, it is something that plays on your mind, and you will double check every time you go past that gantry. Are the red lights on? Has something happened?
Yeah, exactly that. So, seems to be like a little bit of a last lap shootout going on for us at the moment. And again, while we're sort of waiting for them all to come round and cement their final times, you know, we've got a little bit of a break coming up in a little minute. Use that time. Go over to our YouTube, subscribe, follow us. Make sure you hit that like button and hit that bell so you can get all the notifications about when we're live next as well. And make sure you leave us a comment in the chats. We do want to hear from you. I'll be looking forward to going through the comments and things and try and mention bits and bobs in our next stream and broadcast. And I can also get it fed into my ear as we speak. So if there is something that's very, very urgent and you want me to mention something, do let me know. I can mention it live on air right now.
So that is checkered flag now. Every car you are seeing coming through now is going to take it this lap, or pit obviously, but same difference. So we've had a few through already. None from the top 10 have passed the checkered yet. Okay, the first one's gone through. Wheeler has gone to the top of the timings, ahead of Mystery Driver with a 2:22.7 on the final lap of qualifying. That is how you do it. That is perfectly timed.
That's an impressive time as well. That's he's absolutely hustling that thing around, isn't he?
Absolutely. That is a 7/10 gap that he's just pulled out of pretty much thin air. But I'm sure he will say that was his plan all along. And to be honest, I don't doubt him. But, you know.
Well, you say gap, it's more like a canyon, isn't it, really? I mean, that's a little bit of a... No, a little bit of a piss take.
It's sizable, shall we say?
Yeah.
That's, I think, the...
Yeah. Might as well strap a number 1 on that car and call himself Max Verstappen.
Yeah, that is... Young has pitted, currently sat P8, but third of the BCV8s.
Fantastic.
Still waiting for a few more of them to come through. McCarthy is yet to cross the line. there are obviously still a few pushing, and it does appear that most people have timed it perfectly. There is some exceptionally brave lines going into Brooklands on the final lap as the last few cars come through. There are still quite a few more to come around according to TSL, so we shall wait and see to get our official top 10, well, provisional top 10 I should say, because you never know.
Yeah, you never know. There could be track limits. You could get laps disqualified. I know that it's been a big talking point that me and Mitch probably don't really want to get into because we'll be talking about it for the rest of the broadcast. But track limits has slightly changed recently to a lot of dismay. Is that the right word? Not happy drivers. Is that a bit?
Confusion and slight
annoyance,
bewilderment.
Yeah,
I think was the kind of mood. But you know, these rule changes are made for a reason, and you've got to drive to them. That's kind of the point I think MSUK are making. If we change the rules, you've got to stick with them. But that is now the top 10 have all either crossed the line or pitted.
And sorry, Mitch, I was going to say to cut you off. The battle of whether to run the sway bar at the back, the anti sort of turning bar, isn't it? I think, or not. I think, looking at the results, is to not run it. From the two that we spoke to, Steve Wells in 72, and I think Paul Raymond in 611, I believe, were the two drivers that we spoke to in the same class, and I believe Wells is up ahead. So I think to answer that debate, no bar.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case. So yeah, they experimented, they tried it, and some were lucky, some were not.
Yeah, well, it's always the way it goes. You know, you make a decision, you don't know whether it's going to be the right call or the wrong call until it's too late. But hindsight is 20/20, as they say. You can see there someone giving us a wave, which is always nice. I always like to give all the marshals and all the fans a wave on the way around.
Well, without them, nobody's here. So, you know, you thank them, you know, they do a wonderful job, and also the fans as well. You know, they're sitting out here, they're literally just watching you go around and have your fun. So you may as well thank them for doing that, because, I mean, you can see it. It's. I think people have a misconception that people don't, you can't see what's going on the side of the track, but you can. You can absolutely. You know if there's fans there. You know if someone's clapping when you're on your in lap. So you give them a little wave back. It's just that mutual respect thing, and then everyone leaves happy days.
Yeah, exactly that. As you said, you see them all on the way around, and you know where everybody is. And every now and again, you can almost spot out specific people. So
I've had touring cars wave at me during their qualifying laps into a braking zone once. That was scary.
To be fair, I've waved at a marshal friend of mine while racing into a braking zone once.
Yeah, it's.
I wouldn't advise it, but
no,
I mean,
but
it was quite funny.
It's surprising how much you can actually register around you when it's all going on.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting onboard though, because I waved to him while I was downshifting. So he was braking in a straight line. I knew which post he was at, giving him a wave with one hand and downshifting into third with the other, which I didn't realise I was doing at the time, but.
And this is why we are behind the mic, not
well,
behind the wheel currently.
Yeah, it's partly that, I think.
Yeah,
partly that. It's not solely that, but it's partly that. No, I did quite well in that race, to be fair. But yeah, it was quite a funny talking point, because in the cafe in the evening. But he knows what I'm like. We all do funny things when we're driving race cars, you know.
So, qualifying for the BCV8 is now complete. Everyone on their in-lap. Just a quick rundown. This may take a little longer than usual because obviously I've got to find my way through all the midgets and sprites. But your pole overall and for the BCV8 provisionally has gone to Wheeler with a 2:22.7, as Charles said, an incredibly good lap time round here.
Just to quickly cut you off, Mitch, if we can put TSL up, if that's possible.
Yeah, that'd be nice, because they've just cut it away.
Oh, I don't think either of us are going to get it, because they seem to have just cut it away. So
at least you know who the pole sitter is.
You do.
The next BCV8 confirmed, obviously we have Mystery Man still running around second, but the next confirmed BCV8, I believe, was down in 4th or 5th.
Overall, yeah.
Overall, and then third was, I definitely know, was Young in 9th. but we will try and find that for you again. But TSL are right on schedule and have already got rid of it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you've enjoyed all of that fun live action. We aren't planning on going anywhere just yet, though. The stream will keep going, we'll keep running live, all right? But we will give you about a 20-minute break or so you can go away, get yourself a cup of tea, get comfortable, maybe grab some biscuits or something, and we will be back very shortly with the MG Trophy Race 1. I think it's been a pretty successful couple of qualifying.
Yeah, no, it's not been event-free, but it's not been catastrophic either, which is always good for a qualifying session. You don't want to see too many cars coming back on low loaders, which has been known to happen around here. But yeah, no, great qualifying sessions, and everyone's, well, on track visually having fun by the looks of it, and backing into corners for unknown reasons that we might get to find out later. But yeah, so make sure everyone is drinking, because as we know, there is heat warnings and everything around the country, so please make sure you do stay hydrated while watching this stream. You may think you're alright sat indoors, lovely lounge in the sun, but please, everyone, stay safe in the heat. But yeah, no, good qualifying.
Yeah, well, that's our safety notice done as well. Thanks for that, Mitch. Our Chief Officer of Safety right here, I think.
It's just so my mum knows that I'm thinking about it as well, really.
There we go. Don't worry, Mum, we're taking good care of him, all right? Right, guys, so as we said, we will be back in about 20 minutes or so to show you the first race for the MG Trophy. I hope you've enjoyed both the qualifyings. Do make sure you use this break, like I said, grab some fluids, as we've pointed out. Go over to our YouTube as well. Make sure you like the video, follow, subscribe.
There's
and
loads of
take
buttons,
that,
push them all.
Yeah, push all the buttons, basically. All of them that isn't end stream, basically. All
Yeah,
of those
don't
ones.
press that one.
Don't press that one. But we'll quickly run a little break interval. Is that right?
Yes,
is that what
it's
they're
an
doing?
interval.
Yeah, it's an interval.
It's a theatrical interval, that's what it is.
It is. We'll quickly run up a little interval, and we'll see you in 20 minutes.
We're skanking the rave. Run with coke, no shanks in the rave. Coke, no man with the baseline drops. It's a virgin thing, no shanks in the rave. Front to the back, know what it is when I jump on the track. Front to the back, know what it is when I jump on the jump.
London, New York, LA, Paris, Kingston, Harlem, Brooklyn, Atlanta, London, New York, LA, Paris, Kingston, Harlem. Bobby, holy class!
McNulty to win, sorry, to draw the game. And she scores!
One moment.
Grab your boot. We're back, we're live. Brilliant. So it's actually not getting ran over by the safety car. That would be rather ironic, wouldn't it? But anyway, welcome back everyone for the first race for the MG Trophy Championship. I don't think we're going to get much chance to talk to people, but I'm going to see if I can grab a quick word with the pole sitter. I know the break wasn't quite as long as we anticipated. I think they're running a little bit ahead of time. Quick word for us. Quick word.
Oh yeah.
So congratulations on pole. How's it feeling out there?
A bit messy that qualifying session, but yeah, it seemed all right. It's just a case of learning the track and who could learn it quickest, I think.
Right.
But yeah, I think we'll see in the race now who's got the pace. Not necessarily me.
Oh, okay.
But we'll see.
For calling it messy, you seem to have hooked it together quite well to have taken pole, or is it just messy as far as traffic?
No, yeah, it was just a case of just go as fast as you can and as quickly as you can, because we only got there 3 laps. But yeah, I mean, that's probably what I'm good at. But when it comes to fine tuning it,
right,
I think the guy over there is probably a bit better.
Okay. Have you got any concerns with the heat at all today, or is everything pretty under control?
Yeah, I mean, tyres are always struggle around here, and especially on a day like today. But I mean, depending on whether I get a nice gap at the start, then I'll try and manage it. But other than that, I'll just do whatever I can to keep them in.
Well, best of luck, and I'll leave you to it. All right.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see if we can grab the second place man as well. All right. Quick word for us.
Yeah.
Right. So you lined up alongside the grid. He's picked you for being able to win this one. How are we feeling?
Yeah, feeling good. Qualifying was alright. Had a bit of an issue with one of the drive shafts. We've changed that. But yeah, first race for almost 2 years. So feeling a bit rusty, but yeah, we'll see how we go.
Feeling a bit rusty, but straight to the front row.
Well, yeah, we'll see how we get on in the race. Adam's normally a good racer, so it should be a tough race.
Okay. And have you found any issues of heat or anything today?
Other than I'm very hot, it's all right, but it's going to be hot in the car after this one, for sure.
Cool. Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Right, shall we see if we can grab... I want to see if I can grab Graham Ross. So, if you want to... Right, Graham, how are we doing?
All right, thank you.
Good. So, last time I spoke to you, I think you'd had a 100% win record this season. I believe it's no longer 100%, but I believe you've still added a few more to that total, is that right?
Yeah, I got 2 seconds at Oulton, so I'm accumulating the points, but it's not quite as nice as a race win, to be honest with you.
No. If I'm right, you got a pole at Oulton as well, didn't you?
I got 1 pole at Oulton, yes, but I was miles off the pace at Oulton in reality. I mean, Adam just walked away and I had no answer for it, so I don't know, we'll wait and see if it's any better today.
Okay, how did you find qualifying went for you?
It was because of the shortened format with only getting the 3 laps. I never really got a proper clear lap, so my time was pretty disappointing. Kind of lucky to be third, to be honest with you. But I think, if we get, obviously the front guys are away and clear, and hopefully the lap times will drop and I'll get a bit of into rhythm.
Ah, fantastic. So we look forward to seeing you go forward then, yeah? Mixing it up with the guys in front and making things interesting.
That's always the plan. That's always the plan.
Well, I know I've seen you do it before, so I know it's definitely doable. Right, best of luck, Graham.
Thank you very much indeed.
We'll let you get on.
Thanks, guys.
So I've got a feeling there's not going to be much more time before they send these guys out now.
Maybe one more.
We might try and see if we can get one more. Should we get the other guy on the second? No, that's it. There we go. I should trust my gut instincts. Marshall's there doing a brilliant job. 1 minute board, giving the drivers time to know. So what we will see, there you go, Midge. So what you will see, obviously, once the cars have all gone past, they'll all be doing, I believe, a green flag lap. And then from that point, they'll all line up on the grid. Obviously you won't be able to see that from here. So if you wanted to know what the order was from qualifying, you're basically looking at it. Saves me running it down for you right now. But yeah, seems like a lot of not very confident or happy drivers out there as far as with their own performances in qualifying due to the shortened format. So I think we could potentially see a lot of mixing and muddling around in this race, which will make it very interesting for us. Yeah, it could be quite close, I think. Thoughts, Mitch?
No, you said it. Close. The ZRs, they're always going to be close. Well, and an MG3, but yeah, still close.
Should be good. Right, shall we make our way to the grandstand? Sweet. And while we're doing that, take this chance while they're going round, warming themselves up and everything else. There you go, Bill. To make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, hit a follow, and also just make sure that while you're there, you do drop us some messages in the chat. I believe a QR code can go up on screen for us. There we go. And you've got a little bit of chance now to just drop us some comments in the chat. Let us know if you want to know anything. You have got two racing drivers with you commentating for you today. Ian, of course, will be back tomorrow, so don't worry, you've not got us all weekend. Not solely anyway. And yeah, if there's anything that you want to know, any tips or tricks or anything, we'll be more than happy to talk to you about that. Competent, we don't know, Mitch, but happy to talk about it at least.
See the cars on one side of me, already the MG Trophy cars out on their green flag lap. They've gone through the Maggots and Beckett's complex, they head down Haggard Straight. For a long, long time I can't see them, and then they pop out from round the wing.
Such a lovely day here at Silverstone, isn't it?
Entry corner, well into the straight, and then into the Rockfield Republicans complex, and finish a lap of this incredible Silverstone Grand Prix circuit.
So as I said, they will be going round doing their green flag lap as we speak, essentially warming their tyres up, making sure the circuit's the same as how they left it. There's no debris or anything else happening, or while they're driving around on the circuit, and gives them plenty of chance as well to get themselves nice and focused, ready for lining up on the grid. Getting into that grid spot, of course, is also important, as we've seen a few times over the last few months. People missing grid spots and things like that, so you don't want to get any penalties or anything before you've even started the race. Mitch, anything you want to add?
No, I want to watch race cars. That's the only problem with Silverstone Grand Prix, they disappear for so long. But yeah, it's going to be good.
So this is a 20-minute race, so it's a straight race.
What corner is this? Do you remember?
Say again?
Corner.
This is Brooklands. Brooklands, and then Luffield, and then the pink just down there is Woodcote.
Completely cornered at this
There we go, there's a question answered for you guys. It's that simple. You just have to let us know in the chat what it is you guys want to talk about. So as you can see, they're all coming around now, getting nice and warm. Interesting to see, Mitch. It's interesting to see, Mitch, that even on the warm-up lap, a lot of these cars are so hard sprung that they're already on three wheels, just warming their tyres up through the corner.
It's a bold strategy.
The safety car.
The field's all made its way through Luffield, and as Charles rightly said, they're being very aggressive with warming their tyres. I've seen that a lot, particularly with these hatchback style vehicles. You really need to get the rear tyres warm, and that's sometimes a very difficult thing to do. So it's important to try and put as much energy into the rear of the car, because although for a lot of laps the rear left is off the ground, it does still need at least some temperature in it.
Car making its way to the back, as it does for all races, and it does that so basically it's there in wait, lying in wait, just in case anything happens in the first few corners, and it can pick the train of the car up when, or the train of the cars up when they come round next time.
Second board down there, and the red lights on, the red lights off, and away we go for 20 minutes of the MG Trophy. It is cars already full.
Right. So again, do make sure that if you have anything you want to talk to us about, you let us know. Me and Mitch are sat here, ready and wait to answer any questions that you guys might have. We'd like to think between us we've got a little bit of motorsport knowledge to be able to help you out with that.
And anything we don't, we'll just make up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, obviously making it up with some logic. We won't just feed you rubbish. Well, we'll try not to feed you rubbish. So just to quickly run through the grid then for you. So as you saw the first few, we've got Adam Jackson on pole, then Fred Burgess alongside him on the front row. Graham Ross and Doug Cole are locking out row 2. Then Sam Meager and Paul Savage for row 3. James Cole and Colin Robertson for row 4. Tyler Ballard and John Woodcock for row 5. Robin Walker and James Blake for row 6. Matthew Harvey and John Donnelly for row 7. James Morton and Carl Moore for row 8. Tony Wigley and Jonathan Cadler row 9. Jack Meager and Fergus Campbell row 10, and rounding out the grid we've got Jack Chapman and Thomas Stanfield. So do also let us know if you're supporting any of these drivers. You know, we want to know who's at home watching, who's got their fan base tuned in, eager to see how they're going to get on. So let us know anything that you want to ask us. Let us know.
They take a long time to come round when you're waiting for them, but still only a 2.5-ish minute lap. So there were no big crunches off the line, which is always a good thing. Didn't hear anything bad from that, but we still wait for them to come down the Wellington Straight. Sorry, wrong side of the track. But it's for now it's just a waiting game to see who's going to lead as they come towards the end of lap 1. I'm guessing it'll be one of the front row cars, but I'm not sure whether it's the pole sitter or not.
Well, we're just about to find out, Mitch, because they are just coming onto the Wellington Straight, so they're just about to appear into your picture. And the slipstream effect's working very hard. And we see Jackson out in front, still defending to the second place man. And Graham is there in third place, definitely keeping them very honest. And again, as you can see there, they're taking slightly different lines. So Fred there in second place is lining him up, trying to get that better drive off the corner to really get the slipstream down so that he's got a great opportunity to do them on the brakes before they get to Copse. But all the way through the grid you can see very close, and they're 2 abreast even coming out of that corner going down to Woodcote, and then you can see the last of the runners making his way through Luffield now.
It's a big battle in the 170 class there, wasn't it? It's got all very tight into the entry to Brooklands, but no contact, all clean. Everyone gets on with their jobs.
Yeah, and that's what we like to see as well. Good, clean racing. If you're sat at home and you want to start racing, MG Club, well, the MG Car Club do provide a lot of great series, and this is obviously one of them that you can get involved with a very minimal amount of cost. And the racing is always or often I should say, it's never always in motorsport. It's often very clean, very minimal contact, and the great bunch of guys And it's a brilliant atmosphere to be in when you come in the paddock for these to see these MGs.
Yeah, it's a fun place to be, and that's the most important thing when you're going racing. You want to have fun, and everyone appears to be having, well, not always, you're always going to have your bad days, but on the whole, the uneventful days are always good, which is what you look for in a paddock. Smiles on the faces of people when their car's in one piece, that's always nice, and it's good racing as well, which is important, particularly if you're just starting out. You want somewhere where the racing's close but fair, because otherwise you're not going to learn, you're not going to advance, and you're not going to get what you want out of it.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, if you start racing and you're very much at the back of the grid and you can't get into any real wheel-to-wheel stuff, it's very easy to get very demoralised, and very much the other way as well. If you're out front winning all the time and it's easy for you, you also lose the ability to have that element of fun and that element of fun. So it looks like Fred has managed to make his way in front of Jackson, and Graham has dropped back, so Doug Cole has really got into the mix now. He's got up into third position, and again you can see them taking two different lines, some hugging the inside there and some go around the outside. Some lovely side-by-side action as we come through Brooklands, and will they keep it around Luffield? No, but I think he's going to go for the switchback, so he's going to try and cut back underneath him and get a good run on the exit, which he seems to have done. I'm sure that move will continue all the way down into Copse. And another clean lap there, Mitch.
Yeah, another clean lap by the looks of it. Obviously only through here, but are a few gaps starting to appear. It wasn't as close as it was on lap 1, but that's how racing works, so we can't expect them to be bumper to bumper for the whole race, but still plenty of great battles, and the class is staying pretty much together at the moment.
Yeah, very much together. There's less than a second and a half covering the top 4 out in front. And of course, up and down this field, we do have different classes and different battles going on for the lead. So it is very, very close all the way down the grid. And don't think for a minute that we're only just going to be looking at the front 4.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and I mean, you can tell it's close because I'm usually talking a lot, and I'm too captured by the action that comes in here. I'm trying to listen to you as well, but I'm just like, no, this is too cool racing. I'm looking at the cars, but yeah, they are stuck together at the moment, and the lead group, say there's about 4 cars, I reckon, in that lead group that are going to stick together, I reckon, for this whole race.
Yeah, and maybe take a look for Graham Ross to make a comeback later on in the race. We have spoken about it, obviously, with the length of the races, and obviously with the temperatures today, that maybe running a slightly few less PSI at the start of the race in the tyre. Yes, it means it's going to come along a little bit slower, but it does mean that by the end of the race, your tyres are definitely going to be there for you. Right, let's get back to some actual action on track as they're coming down Wellington Straight, and it seems to be that Fred Burgess has built himself a little bit of a lead out there. And Graham Ross down the inside, look at that into Brooklands, absolutely textbook. That's what we're looking for, some proper action on the track.
Yeah, that 190 class has gone through, but the 170 class is still it's full of battles that entire way through. Couldn't see, or was that the lead group going through now? You've got TSRC, but there's 3 wide in the mid-pack of the 170s, and there's still 3 wide. Don't know how they didn't avoid contact there at the apex of Brooklands as they go through Luffield. They're all line astern. There's a big group of about 5 cars there.
Yeah, they've all managed to keep that together really nicely, and a little bit of sideways action mid-corner for one of them as well, so they're definitely keeping them honest, and they're still 3 abreast, even coming through Worker heading down to Copse.
Yeah, down the start-finish straight, that battle's going to go all the way into Copse, and then down back towards, I think, Hanger, they'll still be side-by-side.
It's nice to see we've still got all of the runners that we've started with. That'll be a commentator's curse right there, won't it, Mitch?
Yeah, we're screwed now.
Straight into one of them not coming round next time round. But yeah, for now it seems to be good. Fred Burgess built himself just over a second gap there to the rest of them. But obviously they're still very close, and this is this is a long race, let's live. We're not even halfway through this race yet, so do make sure you keep your eyes very much peeled for all of the upcoming action that will be soon entering your boxes. Fred Burgess, they're also setting the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, a 1:27.6. Almost a second faster than the guys, or at least half a second faster than the guys behind him. And to give you a perspective, it's only about 8/10, if that, off of what the pole time was. So he's absolutely on it out there.
Yeah, it's very impressive this early in the race to just straight away sit in and go, that's what I want, I'm going to have it straight off the bat. But it is what you need to do in a tight field like this. You need to get that gap away, so definitely the right thing to do. Obviously the worry is then if your front tyres are going to hold up that front left, getting a lot of work through cops and at the end of the hand with the straights, they come back into view now.
Yeah, we've seen it before. It's always a race of two halves where the temperatures are up as high as they are now. Doug Cole and Graham Ross very close, almost pushing each other through that corner there. And they seem to have swapped position again, so I don't think they like to say where they are, do they? And I think this is partly the slipstream effect that we can see coming into place.
Yeah, they can't seem to separate from each other, but I expect that battle will continue as the leaders in the 170s have just gone through, and they've all calmed down since last lap. They were all side by side going in there a lap ago, as has the mid-pack battle, as we see less sideways action than the lap before.
Yeah, they're all starting to spread out a little bit now, and that's one of the things with Silverstone, because of some of the faster corners. You do sort of have to go single file through those. Obviously, there's great bunching up zones with a lot of the overtaken places that we mentioned earlier, like into Vale, into Stowe, and with the slipstream as well. That's a very slow 77 there of Walker, so I'm hoping that he's okay and the car's okay. I don't know whether he's going to come into the pits this lap. We'll soon find out. Yes, he is. He's going to box this lap. So there's that commentator's curse hitting straight away. Apologies to him.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have said anything.
You should go down and formally. Yeah. There needs to be a letter involved in that one. You really.
Yeah, that's clearly 100% my fault. So apologies to him for that. But yeah, so I've been told that you can see the live TSR as it stands, and you'll also notice that Fred Burgess went even quicker on that last lap by a couple of tenths. So he's now basically the best part of a second quicker than the second place man, Adam Jackson. So he is pulling a bit of a gap out there. It's now 2.2 seconds. It's probably potentially even more. But there is those three scrapping behind him. Now, the three in the scrap will be thinking, right, if we actually don't fight each other here, we could potentially claw him back. But no racing driver likes to stay behind another, do they, Mitch?
No, and I think they're kind of caught up in their own battle, and that gap has got massively big, but the three behind are all together. Cole now in second, but he's about to be overtaken. Jackson goes back into second place, which he had a lap ago, but there's not even room for a piece of paper between that three.
Yeah, there's really not a lot, and it's making great action for us. I mean, look at it. I think Jackson did get a brilliant launch out of Luffield there, so he's going to be a sitting duck heading down to Cops. I've got a feeling that position could potentially change unless he has some expert defending skills in that car. You can see some of the others start to filter through now.
Yeah, that looks like Ballard has a pretty healthy lead at the moment in the 170s. As everyone else seems to have their own little battles going on behind, he's managed to, not as exuberantly as the 190 leader, but, pull away from the group and just keep his nose clean, which is, but there's still that big group. I think that's back for like 5th in class-ish. They come through so quickly it's difficult to tell, but there's a group of 6 cars there running within a second of each other, and that's kind of allowed the front runners in that class to pull away.
Yeah, it's the lovely close racing that you like to see, obviously, for the drivers in that pack themselves, they won't want to see those drivers get away, and they'll just be thinking, stop fighting me, let's go get the guys in front. But for all the guys behind that guy at the lead of that train, they will very much be thinking, no, I want your position. And that's our last place runner there, Stanfield, making his way round. It seems that we've got a few that haven't kept coming round. Meager, Cole and Walker all, I think, pitting for mechanical issues by the looks of it, but I can only speculate as to what that might be. But rather than speculation, I think we just go talk to them at some point later on this weekend and find out what happened.
Anything obvious enough to take a stab at, really. There just wasn't a big bang or anything. That's usually a good sign, but we didn't see.
Yeah, that's usually a fair tip-off if there's a giant bang somewhere. But we're already treated to the leader coming round again already. He has pulled an absolutely massive gap. So composed, that car, cocking its inside wheel, same as the rest of them. You can see Graham Ross starting to make his way through and pull away now. Oh, and Jackson sideways. Lovely, nicely collected by him. That was absolutely on the edge. I think he's going to be potentially needing to change his underwear after that one, because you can go off and have quite a big accident there. You're carrying quite a lot more speed than it looks like. But yeah, it seems like Graham Ross's car seems to be coming on strong on this latter half of the race, as he's now made his way back up to second. And yeah, tyres are definitely coming into play.
Yeah, it's got to that point in the race now where everything starts to settle down as they're 3 wide again into Brooklands in that big pack in the 170s. And the leader of the group, under no pressure at all, goes completely wide. That's going to stack everybody back up as they come back into Luffield. 3 wide again, over the curve, gets the rear end of the car out. That's going to slow them all up down the straight, which means you're going to end up 3 wides into Copse, which is not an ideal move, as the F1 cars find out. But there's nothing between them, and they were even on the grass trying to find different ways through Luffield on that lap.
Yeah, for sure, and I think one of them catching out the other with how much he actually braked into that corner as well. We very nearly saw 2 cars go into each other, but good, as we've said before, good clean racing, and we know exactly what these guys seem to be able to do. And that's keep it clean, have a lot of fun, and give us some good entertainment at the same time.
Yeah, and that is the battle for just off the podium as well. So, although it doesn't, you wouldn't think that when you look at how hard they're racing in that massive group of about 6 cars. It's actually the battle for 4th in class, but that no one's told them that. And I wouldn't want to. It's amazing racing.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter what position it is. You always want to go forward, don't you, as a racing driver? And all of those points do accumulate to championship prizes at the end of the day. So
they do indeed.
You know, they could be running 4th here, but they could be sitting 2nd in the championship, for all we know. So yeah, leader going through again. Nice big lead. Seems like Graham Ross has got 2nd, relatively held down, and Adam Jackson is still all over the back of Doug Cole, really trying to make a move, be all over his mirrors, trying to make him make a mistake, make him feel under pressure, maybe even push his car a little bit so he starts overdriving it. But they're all saying all very well, nicely composed out front.
I think that's the first lap they've come through and haven't changed positions in that chase pack, as we await the leaders in the 170s. Here they come. Pretty much as they were the lap before, nothing really going on. But if a mistake is made, they're still within, that pouncing range.
They're definitely there keeping each other honest, and that's always the most important thing.
And here they come, extremely defensive in the battle for 4th. Less sideways than the lap before, though.
Yeah, a little bit more spaced out.
I can take that back, they're just as sideways.
A little bit more spaced out this time around. But I'm sure, as you can see on the exit of Luffield, they will take absolutely no No second chances as far as being left doors open. There's a nice slip up the inside there. Heading on down to Cox. If you're enjoying this racing, you know, do feel free to come down. You can come to these club events. I don't think it really costs anything to get in, does it? I don't think ticket-wise, or if it does, it'll only be a couple of pounds. And yeah, you can be sat here yourself, enjoying a whole day's racing at the grandstands here at wonderful Silverstone in the sunshine. We are here tomorrow as well, so if you are in the local area and you do fancy popping down, I'm sure the more the merrier is the attitude for the guys down here. And also don't forget to leave us a comment. Give us some stuff to talk about, as far as if you want to know anything, if you're interested in getting involved in motorsport, if there's something that we've missed that you want us to talk about, do let us know in the comment section of the YouTube video on our page, Live Sport Now. To give you guys a good impression, that's potentially lapped traffic coming up. That's how hard these top four have been pushing, and they're still absolutely ragging the hell out of those cars. They are doing the absolute best to try and go forward. And, although it looks a little bit settled, one mistake and or being caught napping, Mitch, and they'll be straight up the inside.
Yeah, it's too close to relax at that in any of these positions. Really, there's no one who's completely safe at this point. So, yeah, top focus still required. The gap for second in the B class has come down a little bit that lap. They're a little bit closer together now.
Yeah, the lap time seems to have come down. The leader almost a second and a half off of his best. But I'm assuming that's the tyres and the heat.
Yeah, and also just it's not worth pushing hard and making a mistake at this point.
He's got over a 5-second lead, so he's sitting quite comfortable out there as it stands. That number 66 car of Moore seems to be on a little bit of a late resurgence. He got past one car on the last lap. He's just got past another there through Luffield, as you've just seen up the inside. Can he go even further forwards? Because if he can, he can be looking for fourth in this race. He's only got Harvey in front of him, and yeah, that would be quite an impressive drive for him.
Yeah, every lap they seem to come through. Something's obviously happening at the back end of the circuit, because we seem to lose one from that pack. They start spreading out at every time. So I reckon whether somebody's being a little bit too brave in somewhere like Stowe, you've seen it happen before, where just over aggressive lunge and somebody ends up 3 seconds back.
Yeah, it's one of those things, this circuit. I mean, if you're in the tow and you're part of the pack, you know, you're able to stick with everybody and everyone's working together to a certain extent. But as soon as you lose that, and that gets broken, whether it be a mistake or a lunge or anything, it's so hard to come back. And that's Fred Burgess there, your leader, coming on round to now take the checkered flag as the winner of race 1 here at Silverstone for the MG Trophy. We seem to have lost Doug Cole, though.
He's coming down now, but he has lost about
I
nearly
can't
10 seconds.
see any damage with the car, so maybe literally what we were just talking about has actually happened. But it will be Graham Ross second, and Adam Jackson third, Doug Cole then in fourth. And while I'm waiting for TSL to update itself, we'll keep watching the rest of the cars come through, hopefully. No more commentators curse from us, eh, Mitch?
There is still an opportunity for second to change over in the 170 cars. Looking around the outside going into Brooklands. Can he get the switch back and then get a really good exit out of Luffield? It's not a terribly long run to the line, but it might be enough. Unfortunately, I think he's overcooked it a little on the brakes into Brooklands. Run a bit wide, not got it cut back in time. So I think there's going to be no change for position in the top 3 of Class B.
Well, that was a brilliant last lap attempt, and you've got to make them count round here, because you don't really want to be leading on the last lap due to the long straights around here always, unless you have got a bit of a gap. But yeah, everyone seems to be coming through nice and cleanly and seem to make it stick.
That battle for fourth really has been neutralised now. Everyone's spread out. They really went at it for that middle part of the race, but everyone coming through with a good few car lengths between them that time. No late lunges on the final few corners.
Exactly that. So to give you a rundown, we've got Burgess first, Ross second, Adam Jackson third, Doug Cole fourth, Sam Meagher fifth, Paul Savage sixth, Ballard in 7th, Campbell in 8th, Woodcock in 9th, Robertson in 10th. I've been told it's on your screen so you can see the final finishing order. Harvey in 11th, Moore in 12th, Candler in 13th, Blake in 14th, 15th is Morton, Wigley in 16th, 17th is Chapman. Donnelly seems to have gone into the pit lane, and then Stanfield rounding out the finishers one lap down. Well, that was a pretty exciting race, Mitch. What do you think?
It was very entertaining. It set off slower than I expected. I expect lap 1 to be pretty manic, but then it got pretty manic pretty quickly, that mid part of the race, where I was expecting a bit of a line astern, let's keep the tyres in check kind of affair. I was completely wrong, and there was loads of battles all up and down the field for that middle part of the race.
Yeah, plenty of us to talk about. As you can see, they're all coming down now. I think the fans clearly seem to enjoy that one.
There's no reason not to, really. You couldn't not enjoy it. Unless possibly Doug Cole. I'm not sure he enjoyed the last part of that race.
No, I don't think he did either, bless him. But yeah, some fantastic racing from everyone. And we'll wait for the last few to come on through on this warm down lap. And then we'll let you know what we have coming up later on. I'll tell you one thing, Mitch, I'm definitely looking forward to that little lunch break I'm parched after speaking about all of that.
Yeah, but it means no amazing racing, so, you know, I can't wait to come back. There's the top 3 from the Class B going through now. That's they had a good little race at the start, but possibly the calmest battles, I think, on the whole. A little bit of action towards the end, but not too much. And here, I think the stars of the show coming through now, the battle for 4th in Class B.
Yeah, for sure. I think for style and flair, I think that group has probably definitely got it. I mean, we saw 3 abreast, we almost saw 4 abreast at certain points.
Yes.
And a lot of close racing without contact, so they should be very, very impressed with themselves.
Yeah, it was a few sketchy moments, a little bit of grass, a little bit of too much curve here and there, but yeah, as you say, there was no bodywork hanging off in any places, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, exactly that. Right, guys, so that is all from the first MG Trophy race here at Silverstone this weekend. We will go for a little lunch now, as well as the circuit will as well. We'll leave you looking at the safety car and its flashing lights. But do come back to us at around just about 3 o'clock. I think they're running a little bit ahead today. So if you come back to us around 3 o'clock, we'll be live again. We'll be going live again. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube and tick that notification bell, because then you'll know when we're live again. And we will bring you all the action from the MG Cup and the BCV8s, which you saw in qualifying earlier on. Have a great lunch. I'm going to go get some lunch. Thanks for joining me, Mitch.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
it's very exciting. Good racing. More later.
Yeah, a lot more later. We can't wait, can we? No. Brilliant. In that case, guys, catch you then.
We're skanking the rave. Run with coke, no shamps in the rave. The baseline drops, it's a virgin thing, no shamps in the rave. Front to the back, know what it is when I jump on the track. Front to the back, know what it is when I jump on the track.
London, New York, LA,
to draw the game. And she scores!